Denver Broncos rookie quarterback Bo Nix is expected to be the starter, but what expectations should we have heading into training camp? He needs to start fast. We're going to tell you why and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast. Cover your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your boy Damian Parson. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a senior draft analyst, and thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day shot for being our everydayers. I got to kick the intro to Mr. LSU himself, Keith Sanchez. You can find and follow him on X at The Talent Code. Can you talk to him, baby?
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. This is Keith Sanchez, 2019 national champ, man, and the other side to this dynamic duo that we call the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to start this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. Every listen is greatly appreciated over here at the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. If you can hear my voice, hit that like button. Don't forget to comment and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On NFL Draft. Today's show, it's a rookie quarterback spotlight. Once again, we brought it back, man. We're going to talk about Bo Nix with the Denver Broncos. We're going to talk about Penix Jr. Can that arm talent put pressure on a 35-year-old Kirk Cousins, man? And can he potentially play this year for the Atlanta Falcons? Then we're going to talk about J.J. McCarthy beating out Sam Darnold for those Minnesota Vikings. Yes, we have to get my guy, Mr. Wide Receiver Netflix show himself. We got to get Justin Jefferson, the football man. Can J.J. McCarthy do it? But before we get started, man, why don't we hit him with our title sponsor?
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports aren't sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Bo Nix, the expectations, Keith, I think similar to the way we started yesterday's show. When we said Caleb Williams, right, needs to start fast. We want to see him start fast in training camp, but it's for different reasons. Caleb Williams had generational tag placed on him. He has a playoff-ready roster. That's why he needs to start fast, because this team, to me, could absolutely, the Bears could make the playoffs. When it comes on to Bo Nix, he doesn't have that type of cachet as a draft prospect, and his team is nowhere near playoff ready. But I think he needs to start fast because of the fact that this is a 5-year starter from college. So we can't throw out the term, he just need more reps. He's just raw. Like those terms don't really fit the profile for Bo Nix. What we need from Bo Nix is to come out there and lead this offense, lead this team, learn that playbook, get into a rhythm, right? And be able to develop that chemistry with the other receivers that aren't named Troy Franklin, his receiver from Oregon, right? Hit the ground running, because I think if you can hit the ground running, then what that does for Sean Payton is, okay, I can open the playbook more for you earlier in the season. It won't take till week 8 for us to see the full playbook, week 9, week 10, to see the full Sean Payton game plan and scheme come to fruition, because now Bo Nix is just getting going. No, I would like to see him start fast, like really build that confidence, because one thing about it, we know if you can get on the good side of Sean Payton, he's going to do right by you. He's going to call the plays that you like. He's going to put you in those advantageous situations. We've seen him when things don't go well, and we saw how that went last year. I think Bo Nix needs to hit the ground running and start fast, because the expectations are you're the starter. I don't think there's anybody on. Well, who else is there? Zach Wilson, or you know what I mean? Like
Jared Stidham, Zach Wilson.
Yeah. So yes, Bo Nix, you are the starter for the Denver Broncos week 1. There's nobody there that's competition for you. Go out there, just go ahead and put those guys behind you, look forward, and prove to people, like I would say, like myself, I wasn't a big Bo Nix guy. I believed in his that he had physical talent. I didn't think he was a top 12 pick, top 15 pick in the draft. Go prove people like me wrong, and go out here and hit the ground running early in camp.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. And I think Bo Nix has a different threshold, right, to his situation because of the quarterback conversation, right? And we talk about Russell Wilson, right, and how bad he is as a quarterback. I disagree. I don't think
Yeah,
he's
me too.
that bad as a quarterback, right? I think he got
A raw deal.
yeah, in the situation with the OC that was the head coach. I can't even remember his name.
Nathaniel Hackett.
Nathaniel Hackett, right? And then last year, DP, he threw for 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. The reason I'm bringing up Russell Wilson in this conversation is because if you're a Denver Broncos fan, right, and it's like, hey, we want to take the next step forward, then I is the threshold having to do at least what Russell Wilson did as far as 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. And the reason I'm saying is that it's going to be put on his shoulders because I believe that this Broncos situation is much like the Patriots, where it's not that great of a situation right now. They're still trying to figure out who is wide receiver 1 through 5, who is offensive lineman 1 through 7, right? Things like that. So who the bell cow running back is going to be for this franchise? So with all of these offensive questions, if you're going to play Bo Nix early, which it's not like the Patriots situation where you bought in a proven veteran and Jacoby Brissett, you have Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
If that's a Spider-Man meme, I don't know which one. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't think of a better Spider-Man meme, right? So I when I look at it, DP, I would say it's a rather tough situation for Bo Nix. The expectations, man, okay. I'll throw in a factor of Sean Payton, right? Being an offensive guy, been around the block a while. Some people call him an offensive genius, offensive guru, however you want to phrase that, right? And looking at the rest of their roster, couple holes on the offensive line. Decent wide receiver core. Some things just need to be figured out. Running back situation, okay at best, right? I think you can call it that. I think his threshold is probably 2,500 yards and somewhere if you get 20 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. But is that as good as, like, do you feel like you took a step forward? And I think that's where the play on the field, him being able to make checks, command of the offense, maybe the expectation, DP, for Bo Nix is not what he can do, like as far as the box score, but what is his process during the game?
100%. Like, I think that's going to be the big thing. You know, like you said, the process, the mental process of like, okay, how are we navigating ourselves through these contests? Listen, you can't, Bo Nix, you go out there, your first matchup against Pat Mahomes. My advice, ignore that he's even there, right? Like, don't try to go throw for throw.
Right.
Like, just ignore that he's even across the field. Don't even look at Patrick Mahomes like, all right, this is what I got to do. I got to deal with Chris Jones, George Karlaftis. I got to deal with Trent McDuffie. I got to deal with I think Justin Reed. I got to deal with those guys, right? And that's what I got to deal with. How do we, how do we move the ball down the field, right? Like, no, there's no 50. I just say in the NBA, there's no 5-point 3-pointer. Like, no matter where you shoot it from,
there's not a 5-point shot.
Yeah, there's no 5-point shot. Like, if you shoot from half court, it's still 3 points. If you hit an 80-yard touchdown, it's still only 6. So figure out how you want to matriculate down the field against that defense and talk with Sean Payton. What are you seeing? Coach, what are you seeing from the sideline? I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing and what they're doing to me pre-snap and post-snap and what they're showing me. And I think that's what I want to see from him is just – and also, like, you're an older prospect. So kind of come in and lead this team, right? Lead an offense that's been dysfunctional for quite some time now, for the past couple years. So coming out there and you look at their receiver core, you got Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, who we pray to God he can stay healthy and not get hurt for a third year in a row, right? Like, he's coming off an ACL and an Achilles. Josh Reynolds, Troy Franklin, Devon Vele, like, it's – yeah, Marvin Mims, little Jordan Humphrey, who seems to follow Sean Payton from New Orleans. It's not great. It's solid. You got some veterans that if they stay healthy can help him along the way. But I think for him, I just want to see him hit the ground running in camp. I'm not saying you got to have reports of you throwing no interceptions. No, just command the offense, run the offense, distribute the ball, and when those big plays are available, make them. But also use that athleticism. We want to see that athleticism when things break down. Don't take sacks. Don't drift in the pocket. Get out of there and make a play. Those are the things I'm looking for to seeing the growth of Bo Nix as an NFL quarterback.
Yep, with DP, let's keep this thing going and flowing, man. Up next is Michael Penix Jr. battling Kirk Cousins, man, down in Atlanta. We're going to talk about that conversation, one of the most polarizing draft picks, right, of the 2024 NFL draft. We on the 2025. I had to make sure I get that number right, DP. Coming up next, man, we're talking Michael Penix Jr. versus Kirk Cousins.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as playoffs wind down, we get fewer games. And the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. And guys, you can go ahead and get in on the college football and NFL football preseason bets by just heading over to fanduel.com so you can start making the most out of your summer. Head over to fanduel.com and start making the most out of your summer, because FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. With the 8th overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft class, the Atlanta Falcons selected Michael Penix Jr., quarterback out of Washington. For the 4th year in a row that Terry Fontenot said, I'm not adding anything to the defense early on. I'm going to go offensive side of the ball again. And the thing is, for me, the expectations for Michael Penix is just come in, put your head down, grind, and let everything play out as it will. Now, when you talk about putting pressure on Kirk Cousins, I think he can. And some people be like, DP, nope, they just paid him, so forth and so on. Yeah, I mean, I always go back to the fact that Seattle Seahawks paid Matt Flynn, drafted Russell Wilson in the 4th round, and guess who started that season and helped lead them eventually to the playoffs and the Super Bowl run? Well, that was Russell Wilson. It wasn't Matt Flynn, the guy who got the check. So now, of course, Kirk Cousins is better, but Kirk Cousins is still coming off of ACL. We've seen the stuff in OTAs. He looks good, but there's no pads. There's no bodies around his feet to make him a little antsy. Like, man, like when you deal with a lower body injury, especially as a quarterback, and you get bodies around your legs, you get to see how comfortable a guy really is post-injury. And I think with Michael Penix being healthy, he adds a different element. He is a better athlete. He's got a stronger arm. I think he can put pressure on Kirk Cousins, because what happens, Keith, we get to training camp. He kills it in training camp. He's stellar in training camp. He's stellar in the preseason. Atlanta Falcons fans are going to be looking at each other like, all right, so do we have a quarterback problem, right? Do we have 2 QBs that can actually start week 1? Now, of course, you want Kirk Cousins to probably start because he's the veteran and he's paid. But at the same time, I still think that, and I'm gonna tell you the thing I'm really be paying attention to, Keith, is the reports on, okay, well, what happens if Kirk Cousins throws a pick, but in the same scenario, Michael Penix throws a touchdown, right? Like he's out there righting the wrongs or doing things that Kirk Cousins is doing wrong. He's doing them right. And you're like, okay, where are we right now for the Falcons?
Yep. No, so, and I'm glad you left off on that part, because that's the dangerous part about training camp, right? The clips that get thrown on Twitter, the clips that are put on ESPN, right? Those clips that go viral is because all it takes is a 4 to 5 second window, right? Talking about Michael Penix Jr. launching the football 50, 60 yards and he hits Drake London in stride, right? And then now the conversation starts, right? It's like, go ahead, fire up the band, because now we have a conversation that we have to have, just about the Michael Penix versus Kirk Cousins conversation. Now, do I think he can put pressure on Kirk Cousins? Yes, because he is physically gifted enough. And I keep going back to this. I've seen enough at the Senior Bowl to feel like Michael Penix Jr. under center, moving around. I feel comfortable about that. I do. I think he's a smart enough young man. We've spent, probably 3 of the 6 days we were at the Senior Bowl, we spent around or with Michael Penix Jr. So him as a person, I feel comfortable with his professionalism, right, and how he's going to approach the game. I feel comfortable with Kirk Cousins being a guy that's not going to kind of gatekeep information, right? He just seen him operating the quarterback Netflix series. He just didn't seem like that type of guy, right? Yeah. So I think he'll be able to soak up enough information. I think he'll be able to handle the situation like a professional, talking about Michael Penix Jr., that come week 2, 3-ish of training camp, right? I think you start to see, oh man, Michael Penix Jr. made so much strides, and who's going to be the better guy? Now, do I think he'll flat out beat out Kirk Cousins in this situation? No, not yet, because where Kirk Cousins is in his career, just being so savvy, this potentially being a familiar offense for him, right? Because Kevin O'Connell came from the Rams, and then now this OC, it was the OC, was I think the QB coach, I want to say,
Zach
of the Rams.
Robinson.
Yeah, Zach Robinson. He was the QB coach. So very familiar system for him. So I think he'll just be steps ahead, but I do think he will put pressure on him. Now it was going to be up. We play out of training camp and into the season. It's going to be a matter of wins and losses, right? Because hot Atlanta, that hot seat is going to get hot. So it's we talked about fast starts for Caleb Williams in the last podcast, for Jaden Daniels last podcast, Bo Nix. I think Kirk Cousins needs to have a fast start, right? Because if he doesn't have a fast start, then there's going to be the conversation of, hey, we might as well go with Michael Penix Jr. And you remember in training camp, they said he was doing good, right? Like people are going to be thinking about training camp videos around Thanksgiving if this situation doesn't play out to where the Atlanta Falcons have a quick start.
The Falcons fans have dealt with seeing so many poorly thrown passes to Kyle Pitts and to Drake London that, like you said, we get the training camp full pads. You got AJ Terrell on Drake London, and Drake London has just a slither of separation down the field, and Penix drops that thing in the bucket. He just throws it right over the head of the defender, and it's like, man, we haven't seen accuracy like that since Matt Ryan. And it's like, wait a second, do we have a problem? And that's where, like you said, it's easy for training camp. That's why I said, man, like that, if he stacks days in terms of Michael Penix Jr. in training camp, then takes it into the preseason, and he's stacking games, that's when it gets really dangerous for that front office. Because Terry Fontenot, we all saw it when you made the call to draft Penix. Arthur Blank is looking at you like, okay, so somebody sell me on what we're doing right now. And it's like, now you got to tell your owner, so the guy you just paid $100 million to might not be starting the season if it came to that. That's a conversation, Keith. I know me personally, I don't envy Terry Fontenot. I don't envy, Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson having to have that conversation with Arthur Blank if it came down to that, because they're in a very perplexed spot. Because Michael Penix, like I said, he don't have to start fast. He can kind of come out, gather himself, stack days, get better gradually, and then take that momentum and sprint with it, right? Take the baton and sprint. But that's the thing. Kirk Cousins, this ain't the 4x1, baby. Don't give him the baton. Don't give him the chance to take it and run with it and take it through across the finish line. I think that they're in a very weird spot. Just because the fact of the matter is, physically, it's going to look a lot different. Like the combine, Keith. We've seen quarterbacks throw in front of a guy that has more physical tools, and when that next guy walks up, it's like, yeah, that's a different type of arm talent. And that's what that's what people who are going to be there at Falcons camps are going to see. They're going to see different arm talents and ball trajectory and accuracy and different things like that. It's going to be an interesting storyline to watch heading into preseason just off itself.
I agree 100%. DP, let's keep this thing going, man. Where we going now to? Minnesota. I was just up there in Minnesota, DP, and I got to get eyes on our guy, JJ McCarthy, but I didn't see Sam Darnold. But, man, listen, we're going to talk about this JJ McCarthy versus Sam Darnold battle that is going to happen for the Minnesota Vikings. And what does JJ McCarthy have to do? And can he just simply beat out the veteran Sam Darnold? Coming up next.
When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Guys, LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot, for being our everydayers. JJ McCarthy must beat out Sam Darnold. And I feel strongly about that. And I said it with conviction, Keith, with my opinion on it. He needs to beat him out. I don't really need to see Sam Darnold for 4 games. I know what he is. I know what Sam Darnold is. When you got, and I know that JJ McCarthy was a weird profile for a lot of people during the scouting process for 2024, but let's be honest. He didn't have a receiver on Jordan Addison's level at Michigan. And we liked Roman Wilson. We liked Cornelius Johnson. But Jordan Addison is a better player than them both. He's a former Biletnikoff winner at Pittsburgh, stuff like that, like route running, ball skills, whatever. Like really good receiver, right? To have him as your wide receiver 2, to then look at your wide receiver 1 and say, oh, that's Justin Jefferson, the man from the Netflix series. Like, I got that guy as my number 1 wide receiver. Yeah, no, like I'd rather see JJ McCarthy with Kevin, and Kevin O'Connell's the right coach for him to start the season, in my opinion. He's the right coach. He's a coach that's going to give him grace, that understands. He's a former quarterback himself from San Diego State, and they believe he was drafted to the Patriots. So he understands the magnitude of playing quarterback. And with Justin Jefferson and, you got Aaron Jones where you can protect him in the run game, JJ McCarthy doesn't have to come out here and uplift this entire team. Like, there's enough around him where you can put him out there, week 1 and feel confident about it. So for me, I think he needs to come out and beat Sam Darnold. What's the phrase we hear every time? It's a situation where it's a young quarterback and a vet. If it's close, you go with the rookie. I think it's going to be close, Keith. If not, JJ McCarthy leading the way, because Sam Darnold just has never been able to show any type of consistency besides the fact that he's inconsistent.
So I like that. I'm with that. I'm about to throw a curveball, DP, in this conversation. Matter of fact, not even a curveball, but I'm about to present a question. We always talk about situations matter with quarterbacks, right? And Sam Darnold, he's been with the New York Jets. Bad situation. He's been with the Carolina Panthers. Horrible situation, right? And I don't know why I want to say he's with the Denver Broncos, but I feel like I'm wrong.
San Fran.
He was San Fran. He was in San Fran. Okay, I knew it was one other team that he was a part of. I want to ask this question. In San Fran, he didn't get any run, right? He didn't get an opportunity. Is there a chance that we get a better Sam Darnold than we've seen before? Is this like, and because I'm talking about this in relation to JJ McCarthy, because what if Sam Darnold just elevates his play? Because we said if this is a great situation for a rookie, could it not be a great situation for a veteran? Right? If we're talking about Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, who did they have? Josh Jacobs right in the backfield, I believe.
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones. I'm sorry, they swapped. Aaron Jones, and then you go Jordan Addison, then you go to head coach. He's his like all the cases you just made for JJ McCarthy. Is it a case for Sam Darnold to play better to where the rookie has to elevate his play? That would be the only question mark I would have, right? And I know it sounds crazy, right? But 3 years ago, it was crazy for us to believe that Geno Smith was going to be good, right? That sound insane. Nobody was betting on that. Nobody was ever betting on Geno Smith making a Pro Bowl. So talking about us, how we approach the draft process, right? And we just kind of flip this lens a little bit and apply it to the veterans some, and just what it's going to take from JJ McCarthy. I wonder if that's something we need to look out in this QB race in Minnesota, is just the fact that Sam Darnold may be in the best situation he's ever been in.
You present a very compelling argument, Keith. You present a very compelling argument, because I would be a hypocrite to say, man, this is a great situation for JJ McCarthy, and not say, well, this is a great situation from Sam Darnold too. No, this is definitely a great situation.
That would Sam be Darnold. That's called putting the blinders on, right? Great situation for JJ McCarthy. Horrible situation for Sam.
Horrible situation for Sam Darnold. No, I cannot say no. It is a great situation for Sam Darnold, right? And if Sam Darnold goes out there in training camp once the veterans arrive, because I think the rookies arrive early next week, and then the vets a couple days after or so. If we get the pads and Sam Darnold looks like a whole different person, listen, go ahead and extend Kevin O'Connell right now. If that's the case, give that man his money. Because if you can get Sam Darnold to play to me, it is never about the physical tools with Sam. Sam is so physically gifted. He's mobile, got a crazy arm. He's really good arm talent. It was the fact that from the neck up, you saw a guy that struggled to make just basic
Routine.
reads, routine plays, right? And it was even back to USC, like when he was in his prime, when he was young. I can't remember what draft class it was before him, but like while we were in that draft process, Sam Darnold was in college, and it was like, man, scouts are at the combine asking about Sam Darnold for next year. And it was kind of crazy because he didn't take checkdowns. I was like, Sam, the running back's in the flats, like dump it down. Like there's no need to hold on to it and test windows and stuff like that. So if he can go out there and play smart football, listen, if Kevin O'Connell wants to start him, I'm all for it. But if I'm in the ear of JJ McCarthy, I'm telling him to go out there and take this job. I'm telling him to go out there and take it. Because I don't think the leash for Sam is going to be, and then Netflix, from the wide receiver series, Devontae Adams, and that Jimmy Garoppolo.
Man. Oh my God, it
you
hurts
know
to
what I
see.
mean? Like
That's
that
why.
situation.
What do I routinely say on this show? Wide receiver is the most dependent position on the field. My guy's struggling, man. I want to get him out. And I know it happened already, DP, and I still want to get him out. I know that was last year. I still just like,
Jimmy
man, trade my guy.
My man hospital balls, man. I was like, Jimmy, what are you doing? But see, that's where, like, so while I agree with you, it's a great situation for Sam. I think that's the risk you run too. Is like, okay, because I remember when Sam was in Carolina, he had DJ Moore. DJ Moore was getting open. He just wasn't getting on the ball. At times he got hurt. When he came back, he played a little bit better because him and Baker was just it was just weird. Baker Mayfield, another guy, left that situation, went to Tampa Bay, went to the playoffs the first year there, right? So I do think that Sam Darnold could play better, but you just run the risk of, okay, not JJ, but Justin Jefferson having that Devontae Adams attitude, where it's not attitude, was like, bruh, what are we doing? Like, I'm getting inaccurate passes. I'm getting hits that I don't normally take. Like, I'm getting killed out there. I don't want to see JJ get those type of hits either. I don't want to see Devontae get them. So I think that's the risk you run of like a veteran quarterback who's notorious for being mid, to put it in the political correct statement. And that's why I'm like, all right, Devontae said, listen, I signed off on Aiden O'Connell starting. I signed off on it. I was like, well, listen, Sam, you got a couple games for JJ goes to Kevin O'Connell's like, I'm signing off. It's not even, this is what's going to happen. I need JJ out there. I need a guy that's not going to throw me into double coverage to take, kill shots. And that's the type of stuff I worry about with Sam, because he is who he is right now. And it's like, can you teach an old dog new tricks? I don't know.
All right. So I can understand that situation. I could very well see that playing out, right? Like, over here, while we present both sides of the conversation, and I think it's important to see both sides for JJ McCarthy. And I think I like the parallel because Aiden O'Connell was a rookie, right, last year, stepping in for a veteran that some people liked. I never thought Jimmy was that good, right? I always thought he was a career backup guy, but for some reason, people felt comfortable with placing him as their starter, and guess what? They did,
because he went to the same college as Tony Romo, Keith. That's
right. That was the whole conversation. DP, there wasn't a more disappointing situation than when Devontae Adams was on the sideline and he sat there and he told him, "Look, next time I get this look, I'm going to give him a double move, and then I'm going to put my hand in the air, and you're going to throw me the football." And Devontae Adams did everything he was supposed to do: double move, put his hand in the air, and then the ball was still 5 yards past him. And it was at that moment that, like, I think people can relate now to why wide receiver is so frustrating, right? Because what else could I do with this situation? I am wide open.
It was like a coach drawing up a play, like exactly like this,
how it's going to happen.
How it's going to happen. Just deliver the ball, and it's like 5 yards ahead of him. And
you could have underthrew it and everything. You'd put it in the one spot.
Open. Just underthrow the ball, man.
The one spot you couldn't put it. So it was definitely an interesting conversation. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to say shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day, man. Listen, man, I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. On tomorrow's episode, we're going to kind of keep this spotlight, training camp spotlight episode going and theme going. We'll get into some of these wide receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze. Who needs a fast start? What are the expectations for these big-time young playmakers? Man, we're going to talk about all that on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.